step is setting up your space. For this step, you'll need a blank sheet of paper, a ruler, a pencil, and an index card. I'm using a red envelope in this case just so that you can see it better in the video, but I'll have some index cards cut for you that'll fit the size of the paper you're using. So what we're going to do with this is very simple. We are going to line up our index card so that the sides of it are parallel to the edges of our paper. And we can make sure that we're doing that by using our ruler as a T-square, right? And then just pushing the edge of our card right up to the edge of the ruler so that it's nice and straight. We're going to hold this down. Okay, and then we're going to very carefully trace around the edges. I want to go all the way out to the corners. I'm moving my hand around on the card so that I'm able to make sure that the edges aren't going to lift up and cause wavy, lumpy lines. Okay, once I do that, I'm going to connect the corners of my rectangle to the corners of my paper. I'm just going to line them up so that the ruler passes through each of them, right through the center. Okay, and now I have a ceiling, I have a floor, and I have two walls. The next thing I want to do is establish my vanishing point. Most often that can be found by lining up your ruler with the lines you just drew through the corners and drawing a light little X through the center of your rectangle, right there. Okay, that's going to be my vanishing point. I'm going to highlight that in red just so you can see it. All right, vanishing point, very important. Okay. So now that I have all of that established, I'm going to start working on the rectangular spaces, the rug and pattern on the floor, and the skylights. Okay, this step is going to end up looking like that when I'm done. Okay, you could see that all of the lines on the edges of these spaces are parallel to one another. All of the lines that go back in space, all the orthogonal lines, meet at the vanishing point. Okay, even on my skylights, on my floor, see they all connect to that point. All right. The only thing that's not going to follow perspective in this case are things that are along the back wall. And if you have a room on the side, any wall that's on the same plane, that wouldn't follow perspective either, because these things are not going back in space. You're looking at them head on. Okay, so the first thing we want to do for that is start with the edges of spaces that are furthest away from the vanishing point. So if I'm drawing a set of windows on this side, I'm going to start with the edge that's furthest away. Make sure my ruler is parallel to the ends of my paper. I could T-square it to check. And then I'm going to connect the top and bottom of that line toward the vanishing point. Okay, then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to slide it over, keep it T-squared. Okay, I'm going to draw the spaces between my windows, and the windows are becoming narrower as they go toward the back of the room. I'm only putting two in this case. For a doorway, you're going to start with the edge of the door that's furthest away from the vanishing point, T-square your ruler so that you get a nice straight line parallel to the edge of your paper. Figure out how tall you want the door to be, and then connect the top of that line to your vanishing point. Okay, get your ruler, slide it over, T-square it, end the doorway with a line that's parallel to the first one. Okay, if you want to make that another space, like going into a separate room, what you're going to do is take your pencil and just line up the edge of your ruler with the bottom of your page and go straight back from the corner of your door. Okay, that's showing me that the floor is going to continue that way. I could do the same thing with the ceiling. Just drop it back from the corner, back in space. This is the ceiling in the next room. Okay, if I'm putting a rug on the floor, I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to T-square the edge of my ruler to make sure I have a nice straight line. Okay, I'm going to eye it up. All right, that looks good. And then I'm drawing the edge of my rug as wide as I want that, and then I'm going to connect the ends of my lines toward the vanishing point, end the rug with a line that's parallel to the first one. And again, T-squaring will help to ensure that those lines are straight. Here for the skylights, I'm doing the same thing, but approaching it from the opposite direction. I'm starting with the edges that are furthest away from the vanishing point. I'm going to connect those lines to my vanishing point. And then I'm just going to end the skylight with a line that's parallel to the one that I started with. This is parallel to this. Okay? Anything that's going to be on the back wall, as I said, will not follow perspective, but it's still going to be parallel to the edges of the room. So if I have a fireplace, I'm going to hold my ruler so that the edge of it lines up with the edge of the wall. Okay, I could slide that down just a little bit, eye it up, make sure it's even. Draw the mantle. Draw the sides of the fireplace. I can even come back up above it, do a TV on the wall. Yeah, and then you want to connect your corners. So when you're taking your time, this turns out a lot neater, but for a demo, I'm just gonna go through it quickly so that you're not getting bored. The opening of the fireplace, just, it looks like a normal rectangle opening, and then the corners at the bottom are angling in toward the vanishing point. So then you can make a wall on this side, a wall on this side, and then, the back of the fireplace like that. So again, drawing neatly, it ends up looking a lot better. Floor patterns. Okay, if you're doing tile or if you're doing wood floor, you're just going to decide how wide you want each of these things to be. And then you're going to make marks at the bottom of your paper. Like maybe I'm doing 1-inch marks all the way across. And then I'm going to connect those points to my vanishing point all the way over. Those are my floorboards. Okay, that's it.